blessed Savior, please be willing to walk beside me until I'm with them. Be my mother, my father, my sister, my brother. I am an orphan girl. I am an orphan girl.
Hello everyone, welcome to Time to Heal. My name is Pam Hemphill and I'm your host. Today we're doing a special show because this is the Christmas season. And I have a special guest with me today,
Blanca Mora.
and you know she's going to be singing some songs for us. This is actually an angel from heaven. I'm telling you, her voice is an angel from heaven. I want to speak to those out there right now. I know it's real hard for you. I know maybe you can't see your children right now. Maybe you don't have enough money. This is a time of the year a lot of people go back out and drink or they commit suicide. And we want you to hang in there with us today and just give this thing one more day with us, okay? This show is for you, and we want you to know that God has a lot in store for you, and He's never going to give you more than you can handle. So let's stay with us, and we're going to be talking here with our friend and listen to her story and share with you what she has to say about how she's been able to maintain her recovery. Well, I'm so grateful that you came on today. What a blessing. You want to start off by sharing with us, how did you discover your voice? How did you know you had a voice?
Well, I enjoyed singing throughout my childhood. I thought that I wasn't really much better or any worse than anybody else. I was more interested in musical instruments, and so I played clarinet and bass clarinet and tuba, and I learned how to breathe, and I learned how to read music. A few years down the line, I went to Bible college, and it was during a chapel service that I was sitting in front of someone who heard me sing, and the next week I was leading worship for the chapel, and I was in rotation, and then I would travel with the school's drama team and sing at all sorts of different churches around the country.
Did you struggle with your self-worth at all about your singing?
I don't think I did. I felt like I had a lot of room to grow, stumbling upon that gift, because my confidence was always in musical instruments.
Okay.
And so even if I was kind of hit and miss, I just kind of had it in my head where it's like, this isn't even the thing I'm good at. So if you think I'm good at this, well, I'm glad I always felt like I was fooling people, because I was like, that's not really what I'm good at. I'm good at playing woodwinds. And so for me, it wasn't, it was just kind of a bonus. Mm-hmm. And singing and doing any kind of woodwinds, brass, anything isn't something that you necessarily put together with, vocals and that, it's just, I kind of just, I fell on the expectations where, at least in my generation, when I was a teen, if a singer sang, that's what they did. Unless they had a guitar, and that, I didn't have any practice with that kind of percussion, and so I just got used to the microphone. People had over the years would try to get me to do tambourine or something ridiculous. It's like, well, singers that just have a mic have a tambourine and do something, and. I'm somebody that, it's just my voice. I don't have the best stage presence, and I communicate, and I think if if nothing else, I communicate my life experience where, I think I communicate a lot about my life experience through the material I choose, and I was a bit stubborn about it for years. When I would do the gospel, I would be insistent. I haven't lived through that yet, so I refuse to sing this song. And looking back on it, that's neither here nor there.
What were your mom and dad like growing up?
Well, they were an immigrant family, and
Did they encourage you to sing? Did they like your singing?
We just kind of had, my father worked extreme hours, and there was 4 of us kids. So as long as we were out of her hair, she didn't, they didn't really go to concerts or anything like that.
What do you mean out of their hair?
Oh, just the noise of 4 children playing and clamoring. And whenever I was working on music, I would just lock myself in my room and just practice for hours on end. And my siblings are very gifted artists. They all do some kind of, have some sort of drawing, painting skills.
So you felt abandoned by your parents?
Mostly I just wanted to escape.
Why did you want to escape?
Through my father's exhaustion with his work schedule, and my mother has mental illness, and she's refused treatment for it. So it was very difficult, and it was the variety with paranoid schizophrenia. So she could sit down and the TV would be off and she would be seeing frightening things, and she would vocalize it. And so there was always a desire to escape, to create my own sense of reality.
So going in the room and singing was part of that?
Going in my room and playing my instruments, or playing music loud.
Because if you could be out of your mom's way, mom might be okay.
Well, I just wouldn't have to hear it.
Right.
So especially the power to make sound.
Do you remember how that little girl felt?
Oh, that's too much for me to go into. Yeah. That's just.
She hurt?
Yeah. Yeah, that was really difficult. It was really difficult. And
did you find drugs or alcohol during that time?
No.
When did you start drinking? When did you find them? Did you use drugs? I'm not even sure.
No.
Yours was alcohol?
Yeah, mine was alcohol.
When did you start drinking?
It was after a divorce.
Not during the teenage?
No. I had several suicide attempts, and I would try to overdose on the medication that my mother refused to take. And so I said to myself, if she is not going to take this medication to solve it, then I'll take it all at once and solve it for all time.
Oh.
So that was really hard, and there was, for me, my family didn't understand, my mother never got the treatment. She got the diagnosis for the paranoid schizophrenia, but always refused treatment. And I had several suicide attempts until I was 14, and I was introduced to a spiritual life. And God was introduced to the picture. Now, from that point on, decades would go by and I would not try to take my own life, just because I heard a minister at a YMCA camp say that if the same power that created the universe would shed tears over you hurting, why would you want to break God's heart like that?
God saved my life too. I went through the same thing as you, 5 years old, my mother pulling my hair out of the back of my head. She had a lot of mental health problems too.
And
Yeah, identify with you with the God thing. We wouldn't be here without God.
I wouldn't be here, and that got me part of the way. It got me to the point where I wasn't blatantly trying to hurt myself, but I had no solution or would not submit to a solution that did something about the radical ups and downs.
Well, you didn't
that I
know
was
what was
feeling.
wrong with your mom, and I'm sure part of you took it on like it was your fault. Why else would you want to committing suicide? What would that do for your mother?
Yeah, I was angry. It was my own form of rebellion.
Oh, okay, that makes sense.
It was my own form of rebellion, and lashing out was, they can't do anything if I'm hurting myself. And I was surrounded by some pretty good kids, so, my parents were more concerned about me leaving their type of faith, that I found God in a different church than them, and that was really damaging, and it caused some family rifts with extended family as well, and they were convinced that, I got involved in some really mainstream stuff, but for my family, it was my extended family, it was a really trying time, that I would pick up and, I didn't rebel and do drugs, I rebelled and went to a Bible college that was not related to the faith that I grew up with. And that was taken as more rebellion than it actually, I look back on it and it's like, I found purpose in my life in serving others, and somewhere along the lines, up until that point, I found purpose in communication, communicating, what I felt God's heart was towards me through singing, and I think I would have always, I was built, I have humor in my DNA, but I think I developed a really sharp wit where, it just kind of, there's a lot of bittersweet with humor.
Yeah. The humor probably saved you.
It was. For a long time.
Kind of like our little friend just took his life. Robin Williams. Hide behind that.
Yeah. I don't know that it's...
But that's okay.
But sometimes it's not even hiding behind it. There is a gentleness behind even some of the crudest humor, where you're able to express that you're in pain, but that you're trying to pull some joy out of it.
That's an excellent way of saying it.
And I think that's a lot of it. To be able to take something painful and to laugh about it.
Survival skill. A positive one.
A positive one. But it was after a divorce that I really...
Yeah, tell us a little bit. You started drinking later then.
Yeah.
Found alcohol.
Yeah, I found alcohol.
Did you know right away you had a problem with alcohol? Did it gradually get worse?
I did not know that I had a problem, because for a while I just felt like I was sowing wild oats that I had never sown, because I had devoted a lot of my life to God, and so I really just thought, just like, oh, I'm just sowing my wild oats for a while, and I'll snap out of it, But it took a few years of that for me to it wasn't until I tried to stop that I realized that this wasn't a sowing wild oats anymore. My body chemistry changed.
Did you have blackouts, DUIs,
Yes.
or anything like that?
No legal problems, but the blackouts, yeah, they're just constant, and whereas I had shared that from the time I was 14 on, I had not tried to take my own life. During the blackouts, there were suicide attempts. And I would only remember being quick-witted and loosened up to sing at a gig or something. And what I wouldn't remember is the part afterwards where I was at home and trying to take my own life. And so when some people say to drink is to die, it might be some side context. But with me, actually, to drink is to die, because if drinking were a skill, you don't pick up that as a social skill at church. I didn't necessarily get taught that it was evil, but I remember my minister saying that 1 out of 10 people have the capability of becoming an alcoholic. So if there were a room full of poisonous snakes and someone were to tell you there's a 1 in 10 chance that you're gonna get bit by a snake and die, would you take that chance? And that was enough to keep me away from it, and I was just going through such a deep, painful time in my life that I took to it, and honestly, as soon as I picked it up, it was there was I hear a lot of people share that there's this in-between time, the fun time. I started from the get-go blackouts.
Just got worse.
Yeah, it was just, I was blacking out from day one.
You just celebrated.
Mm-hmm.
How long now?
I celebrated a year in October.
That is a miracle. You're not feeling suicidal since
No, I'm not. No,
you're dealing with the pain.
I do. And it's taken a lot of different resources. It's, for me, it's involved day treatment and working a 12-step program. And where I had the outlets before of music and humor, I've had to pick up the additional skill of just flat out asking for help. And I'm somebody who is so comical that I could sarcastically say, just like, oh, I'm dying out here,
So you're opening up, you're letting people know.
I'm letting people know, and letting people in on it from the get-go.
Hold on a minute, we're gonna look at one of the songs you've been singing, and we're gonna come back, that you and your friend Brian were singing together.
Brian Palmer.
The Memphis
come back and do part 2 with me
I would.
and do some more? Because we
Yeah.
want to play your songs and make sure that all your music's heard.
Yes.
So I want to hear more of your story. But before we wind down, because God, you know, I just want to tell you, your songs touch my heart. I mean, really touch my heart. Like I could feel the presence of God. And I mean that from all my heart and soul. You've got to go on and become well known. The world needs to hear your voice. So, but what would you like to say to the women out there that are struggling and suffering like you?
Well, I go and volunteer Saturday mornings at a local rehab, and what I would like to share with women and struggling is that there are women who are here to support you, whether in the place of worship or in the 12-step groups, that there are people that are for you and not against you. And it's very difficult. In my life, I could easily make the excuse that the main female in my life was a very frightening person. And I was raised with a belief that women were competition or people that were about to smash you. But it's been through finding a spiritual solution and working in a 12-step program where I've gone from feeling fear and competition to wanting to pull up as many women as possible and to get them at the point where they're at the rehab and say, make some women friends, reach out, please try.
That's beautiful. That's true, because they say the women will save your ass and the men will pat it. So
Yeah.
thank you so much.
Thank you.
And stay with us, you know, one more day as we do this thing together, because your miracle is on its way.
Christmas future is far away. Christmas past is past. Christmas present is here today, bringing joy that will last. Have yourself a merry little Christmas. Let your heart be light. From now on, our troubles will be out of sight. Have yourself a merry little Christmas. Make the Yuletide gay. From now on, our troubles will be miles away. Here we are in the olden days, happy we all will be together.